Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple announced iOS 27 at WWDC 2026, and they released iOS 27 Beta 1 to developers. It's available now, so I thought we'd go over all the official big updates that Apple announced and released. Of course, there's many more, and I'll cover those in an iOS 27 Beta 1 is out what's new video. Now, the first thing is device compatibility. This is great news for many of you who thought maybe iPhone 11 would lose compatibility, but Apple is now supporting all of the same devices that were supported with iOS 26. So if you were able to try out iOS 26, you'll be able to install iOS 27 once it releases in the fall. When it comes to what's new, well, just like many of the rumors were true. Stability, performance, and smoothness is a big focus this year, with everything from smoothness going from page to page, or just smoothness in opening apps, speed in opening apps, stability, improved search, smoother network transitions, and hundreds of refinements. So all of that has been refined. But as far as what we can see, well, the first thing is liquid glass. Yes, Apple has kept the liquid glass design, but they've really refined it and given you options with an iOS glass slider. So if we go in here, we scroll down, we can go down to Appearance, and within Appearance, we now have our options for things such as light and dark mode. You'll see we have that liquid glass option like we did before, but now we have a slider. We can slide up and down and make it more glass-like, or we can make it more sort of translucent or more opaque. It's up to us, however we want to change it, and based on the mode that you're in, you can change this. So again, you have the same options, go back and forth, and you can slide through and see what it looks like. If you want it to be the most glass, change it to that. If you don't like it at all, just turn it off for the most part, but I'll leave it in the middle for right now. Also, they've changed the way it looks on the home screen. They've really refined quite a few icons, and let me show you that side by side. So if we bring in iOS 26 that we have here next to iOS 27, let me change the wallpaper so they match. And side by side with dark icons, we'll go through all of them, but you can see there's a slight difference here. There's a little bit more contrast, they're more vibrant, and things such as the mail icon, for example, you can really see a difference with. Let's switch over to light icons. And also while we're switching on iOS 27, you'll see there's now a paintbrush there to customize things. So again, let's go here, we'll customize, and then we'll switch to light mode. There we go. You can brighten or darken the background again. And again, let's switch it on iOS 26. So again, side by side, the mail icon is definitely more contrasty. Things look a little bit different, more vibrant, and this just gives you an idea of what things look like as far as liquid glass. But the biggest change comes with clear icons. So again, with the clear icons, you can see the contrast is much better. You can see things a lot better, and it just looks a little bit easier to see. So that's something that's been updated, and it may be more refined throughout. And again, you can adjust this with the liquid glass slider. Also, while you're adjusting things, there's an undo and redo button that shows up. So I just changed these to liquid glass. I can go back and bring it back to dark mode to show what it looks like. Again, switch back and forth. I don't want to remove the weather app, but you can tap undo and then switch between them now. Also, again, with some of the icons, they've made them more liquid glass-like. For example, with the Maps app, you can see that here. It's more layered and just looks a little bit better. Image Playground also gets an update with a new icon. If we swipe over here, you'll see that we now have a huge widget. We now have extra large widget options. So this doesn't apply to all widgets, but it is available for some widgets. They're also bringing an EQ for AirPods. So this is something people have wanted for a long time. I have my AirPods Pro 3 here. It may need an update to show it, but let's go ahead and take a look as the menu has changed as well. So if we go into our AirPods menu here, you'll see that it looks a little bit different. So if we scroll down, we have audio and routing, but I don't see any options for that custom EQ just yet. So again, this is something that we should be able to change. I may need to update my AirPods so that they're on a beta, but again, this is something Apple is finally bringing. Many people have wanted a custom EQ for years, but we did get an updated menu as well. So nice little changes all throughout. One thing I think a lot of people will appreciate has to do with your sound and volume for alarms and things like that. If we go to sound and haptics, you'll see your ringtone volume right here, but now we have a new option for alarms and timers that says match ringtone volume. If we turn this off, we can adjust this individually. The same is true for alerts and system sounds. So if you turn that off, again, adjust this individually. If you want one to be louder than the other, you can fully adjust this however you'd like. And I know a lot of people will appreciate it, but if you want to leave it alone, just turn these on and they'll all match. Now, one of the biggest changes has to do with Siri and Apple Intelligence. Apple is now calling it Siri AI, but there's a wait list. So if we go back here, we go down to Siri, you'll see that it says waitlist. So I've joined the waitlist. I'm waiting for this, and as soon as I have access and I can show you, I will. But at this point, I'm waitlisted on all these devices here, and I haven't heard of anyone actually getting into this just yet. So maybe later today. But that's something that's been updated, and it does work just like many people predicted. It comes from the center here, swipe down from the top, or you can press and hold to activate the little Siri bubble. But if you swipe down from the middle, from the dynamic island, it sort of brings up this dialog with an Ask for Siri dialog. It looks completely different, but it is something that's new, and you can see it here. So it has an all new update for Siri, Apple Intelligence. It's all throughout, and we can use some of those features, and I'll show you in just a moment. But the actual Siri update, again, I'm waitlisted for, so let me know if you are as well. We also have an update when it comes to the weather app. So if we go into that, for example, on the left is iOS 26, on the right is iOS 27. It looks a little bit different where we have precipitation. We can change between conditions, precipitation, as well as wind, all right here from this main screen. And then we can see different information here. It actually tells us our chances of weather, as far as rain here today. And then if we go into it, we can see our normal precipitation. So that's a little bit different, and they've changed it throughout. So again, nice little updates all throughout the OS. But again, if we scroll down, you'll see the map is now right here. And if we continue to scroll, it's mostly the same, but again, it's a little bit different. Apple also made a big deal about new child safety enhancements. So that's something that if we go under Siri and then we go down and maybe we have a child set up in our family account, you'll see here as I go into my son's account, it says new parental controls for iOS 27. Take advantage of simplified content management, age-based safety recommendations, and scheduling for your family. To access these controls, all of your devices in your family must be updated to iOS 27. We also have age range for apps, daily average, ask to buy is new, as well as Apple Cash and Apple Card, and then subscriptions. Also, once you set up the new child account or you migrate an existing account, that's an option as well. You can now have the options in screen time to set schedules or time allowances and schedules, as well as approve websites for your child to view. So maybe you block most websites. There's also new parental controls to allow different communication, as well as communication safety will now block gore or violence and shared images and videos automatically. And this is all controlled by you. So again, communication safety, you can completely customize this however you'd like. So this is something we'll explore in depth in a separate video, but I do need to update more devices, but it's something they pushed quite a bit. When it comes to messages, there's nice little changes here as well, where if we go in here and maybe we're sending something, hello, and let's add maybe a photo, and we'll just send this photo here as well. There's a new send dialog. So it should pop in here, show that it's delivered already, and then it will send. Now, if it doesn't send properly, you'll see that little send dialog that showed up there at the bottom. If it doesn't send properly, it will then try and send again on its own. So that's, again, a new option. If we go into photos, if you're using iCloud photo sharing, you'll actually now be able to share your albums with other devices such as Android or Windows. And some of the options we can use with Apple Intelligence come to photos as well. So if we go into edit this photo, for example, we'll go in here, it says loading photo. And if we go into tools, which is an all new menu here, within tools, we have extend and reframe. Reframe is something that was a little bit mind-blowing when we saw this on WWDC's keynote. So we'll give it just a moment to load here. And it says touch and drag to adjust the perspective. So we can adjust the perspective of the photo using sort of a spatial photo look. So if maybe we want to move it over here, let's reframe it just like that. Give it a moment to process. Let's see what it takes in real time here. So we'll give it just a moment here. So it does take a little bit of time, and I'm sure it's device dependent depending on which one this will actually work well on. But again, Apple Intelligence supported devices in particular. So we'll give it some more time here. It's reframing, and it says there was an error. So let's try it one more time. There we go. It completed, and it says your photo has been reframed. So original, reframed. So you can change perspective on different photos. So that's something that's pretty impressive that they actually showed off that I haven't seen AI really do that well before. Also, we get some AI enhancements here with things such as, let's swipe over to Playground here. We'll go to Allow, and it should be higher quality images, and you can describe the images. You also have any style here, and then you can do animation, illustration, sketch, Genmoji, and ChatGPT still. We've also got this option here where we could create a wallpaper. So maybe we want a wallpaper and make an abstract wallpaper with blue, orange, and maybe a gray color, and make it have light that sort of sparkles throughout. And let's see what we get. So this is sort of a new Apple Intelligence feature that you can create wallpapers with when you're setting a wallpaper as well. So again, give it a few moments. You've got that little status indicator in there. And there we go. So it created this wallpaper, and then we can change it. We can describe a change, or we can go in here and maybe even edit it using some of the functionality here. So let's go back out. We'll go ahead and set the wallpaper. It should load into our wallpaper picker, and there we have it. So we have this new wallpaper it's created, and we can set it based off of what we created in Image Playground. Also, back in Image Playground, you can actually save your wallpaper. If you want to save the image, I'll link it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. So you'll see there's the new wallpaper there, and it looks pretty good. Of course, if you don't like it, you could describe a change for this. Also within Image Playground, not only can we make a wallpaper, but we can make a new image for the background of maybe a contact card. So all of those things are available now. Now there's enhanced search throughout, but there's also a few other changes that you can use without having that Siri update. For example, if we go into shortcuts here, so if we go into shortcuts, it's all new, and let's create a new shortcut. And let's see what it will work with, or if I can get this to work. Create a shortcut that turns display to never from shutting off, and also changes auto brightness to off, and then sets the brightness at about 50%. And let's see if it gets that. It was a bit convoluted. And again, that shows you what the new Siri looks like. But let's see what it does. It's finding actions, assembling your shortcut, set your screen brightness to 50%. So it can't do everything I wanted to at this time. So again, it sets it, it's already there. So that gives you an idea, but we can go in and see how it built it. We want to add a few other things here. So also change the phone to do not disturb, turn off auto brightness, and change locking the phone to never. So let's see if it can make those changes. So again, some of this may change in the future here as we get into further betas, but it says set brightness to 50%, turn on do not disturb. So it won't do everything just yet. Hopefully we'll get that by the time it launches. Safari also gets a nice update here where it can auto-organize your different tabs. So maybe you have a bunch of tabs and you want it to organize them. It can do that, but it also can do this one thing that I thought is very helpful. For example, notify me. You can now have it notify you when something changes on a website, when anything changes. And then you can edit how often you want it to check. So for example, frequency daily, weekly, or monthly. So if maybe Apple changes, when anything changes on this website, maybe at 4:12 p.m., let's change this maybe to 1:12 p.m. or 1 p.m. here. There we go. And now it will work in the background and notify me when something on that website changes. So that's super helpful. If you want it to do that, it will do that in the background for you. Now, while I was making this video, I was automatically approved for Siri. You'll see the Siri beta is here. It's now available. And we also have expressive voice preview. I want the new voice preview, and then you can customize it with your slider. You can adjust your voice. Let's try this.
Voice for you.
Here's the first one.
Let's find the right voice for you. I'll practice some things I like to say while you listen.
Hi. Let's find the right voice.
Hi. Hi.
So you can adjust it.
Voice for you.
So you have the expressive voice preview, and you can adjust that to work however you'd like. So that's something that we now have available. Now, if I swipe down from the dynamic island, it activates Siri. So we'll swipe down and we can search or ask. Or if we press and hold, we get the new Siri. So let's do that again. You'll see it's got a liquid glass look to it. So there we go. It went away. Tell me about the new Siri update.
The latest updates to Siri, powered by Apple Intelligence, introduce a completely redesigned interface and more natural conversational abilities. When activated, Siri now features a glowing light that wraps around the edges of your display.
So that's the new Siri as far as the way that looks, and that looks pretty good actually. Now this goes along with some of the rumors where we have the control center here. We swipe down for Siri, or we swipe the top left to go to notifications. So again, if we go over here, you'll see we also have a new Siri app. If we go into this, You'll see it says what's coming next. Apple is continuing to roll out even more advanced capabilities for Siri, including on-screen awareness, deeper app integration, and personal context. So this is something that's not 100%, of course, working yet. It's in beta, but this is something that's brand new. So if we go back here, that's about the Siri's interface update. So this keeps a list of all the different updates and then, or things that I've asked it, and then we can go in and create a new one, or we can go back and go into search as well. So if we have a bunch of conversations, we can utilize that. So let's see if it understands what's on my screen so far. What do you see on my screen? Let's see what it says.
I can't see what's on your screen right now. If you're trying to share something specific, you can take a screenshot or describe it to me.
Now, because we have this new Siri update, we can also go into the camera, and there's a new Siri option here. So if we go into Siri, you'll see Siri and camera. Use Siri to ask what you see, find similar images, look up nutritional details, and add events to your calendars and more. So we'll tap continue, and let's go ahead and see if it understands if this is an iPhone Air yet. There we go. Let's see what it says. Looking into it. And it says this is the iPhone 16. So that's not accurate. And this is what stumps this every time. So it definitely needs some updates. Of course, this is early days, so it could improve in the future. If we go here, we've got more options for searching. We can search Google, TikTok, and eBay. So it says Google is unavailable right now. But again, remember, this is in beta. Now, another thing here, if we go into the camera, let's go back maybe into photos, we have some different options at the top. So within those different options, we can adjust whatever we'd like, shared library and more. But there was originally rumors that we'd be able to customize this. Maybe they haven't updated this just yet. We don't see much of a change to the camera, and I can't really customize it, at least that I can tell. So we'll have to check into this in the future here, see if there's a difference. But again, we can go to photo, video, and we do see some new options, but I don't see customization options. So let's go here, see if we can customize it all, go into our options. So maybe it's not completely customizable just yet, and that could be coming in a future beta. There's also smarter home options. So if we go into home, for example, you'll see that we have really pretty much the same interface here, but let me switch over to a different location. So this is in a separate office, and we should have some new options for notifications within different cameras that are supported. So it says no nearby accessories. If we go here, you'll see camera settings and picture-in-picture. So in the future, we'll be able to have combined notifications using Apple Intelligence to let us know if maybe someone's walking up with a package on our porch, maybe UPS or someone else, and it will let us know and then combine them instead of sending a ton of information. So that's something that's been updated. This will also now work in 4K. Now, so far, health did not get a giant update, but it does look a little bit different. So if we go into health, for example, let's get out of here. iOS 26 is on the left, iOS 27 on the right. So under summary, you'll see here it looks basically the same, and then we have sharing and then browse. So it's changed the actual bottom here a little bit where they've combined the search dialog, and again, it looks a little bit different. So it's more of these giant tabs instead of individual sort of a list. So if we scroll down, you'll see all of the different changes here. If we go into activity, it's mostly the same though. However, Apple has added perimenopause and menopause tracking as well now. Now there's also updates to accessibility. I'll cover those in a separate video, but there's quite a few updates to things such as magnifier, where you can use visual intelligence from within, and you can actually understand what's within it. You can ask what it's seeing. There's an ask button here. So if we ask, it says, what is this? None, type, or speak. So that's one of the updates. There's also updates to things such as voiceover and more. So again, I'll talk about this in a different video where we cover every accessibility feature, but these were already shown off by Apple before. And so those are the big features with iOS 27. Of course, I'll dig into everything new in a future video here where we'll go over all the details like I normally do, but I just wanted to share the major updates that Apple introduced with WWDC 2026 and iOS 27. We'll be covering watchOS, iPadOS, macOS, and other things as well, so be sure to check back for that. I'll link this wallpaper in the description below along with the iOS 27 wallpapers if you're not using those. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.